The night they came for her village, Amara was 17 years old. She remembered the sound before she remembered the fire. Not the screams, not the horses, not even the weapons. The sound was the drums. 3 slow beats from somewhere beyond the hills. Boom. A pause. Boom. Another pause. Boom. Her father had heard those drums once before. And when Amara saw his face change, she knew something terrible was coming. "Wake your mother," he whispered. Amara froze. Why? Her father looked toward the darkness beyond the village. "Because the people making those drums are not here to trade." Another beat echoed across the valley. Boom. Her father grabbed his spear. "Tonight," he said, "we run." Chapter 1, The Valley. 20 years earlier, Amara's father, Cato, had been nothing more than a poor herdsman. He owned no gold, no palace, no army. His greatest possessions were a handful of cattle, several goats, a few sheep, and a small family who depended entirely on him. He wandered for days searching for grass. Then, during the dry season of 1311, something impossible happened. Cato climbed a rocky ridge expecting to find another stretch of dead earth. Instead, he saw green. A vast hidden valley stretched beyond the ridge. Tall grass moved beneath the wind. A river cut through the center of the valley. Trees grew beside the water. Birds filled the sky. And far in the distance, a waterfall poured down the mountainside. Cato stood speechless. His starving animals suddenly began moving toward the valley. Cato followed. He dropped to his knees beside the river and placed both hands into the water. For the first time in months, he smiled. "This," he whispered, "will save us." He returned to his people. And he brought them to the valley. For years, they lived in peace. Children grew. Crops appeared. The animals multiplied. The valley became their home. But Cato made one mistake. He believed that because the valley had saved his people, it would remain theirs. Chapter 2, The Shadows. One afternoon, Amara noticed strangers standing on the opposite side of the river. They were watching, not trading, not speaking, watching. She ran to her father. "There are men across the river." Cato immediately stopped working. "How many?" "I don't know. Maybe 10. He looked toward the hills. "Go home, father, now." That night, Cato gathered the elders. The strangers had disappeared, but everyone understood what it meant. Someone had discovered the valley. Weeks passed. Then more strangers appeared. This time there were dozens. Then hundreds. They came carrying shields and spears. Their leader sent a message. "Leave the valley." Cato refused. "This land feeds my people," he said. The messenger smiled. "Then your people will have to defend it." He turned and walked away. That evening, Cato told everyone to prepare. Amara watched him sharpen his spear beside the fire. "Are we going to war?" Her father didn't answer. She asked again. "Father." Finally, he looked at her. "No." His eyes were filled with something Amara had never seen before. Fear. "We are already at war." Chapter 3, The Night of Fire. The attack came before sunrise. Thousands of feet thundered across the valley. War cries exploded through the darkness. Torches appeared along the hills like a river of fire. Cato ran through the village shouting, "Take the children to the eastern caves." Amara grabbed her little brother. Her mother took the younger children. But before they reached the caves, the first arrows fell. The village erupted into chaos. Huts caught fire. Animals escaped. People screamed. Cato stood alone in the center of the village. He knew they could not win. But he also knew they had nowhere else to go. "Go!" he shouted at his family. Amara looked back. Her father was fighting. 3 warriors. Then 5. Then more. She wanted to return. Her mother grabbed her. "No." "But father, he told us to run." Amara screamed his name. Then she saw him fall. Everything became silent, even though the battlefield was still raging. Amara could see only her father lying beneath the smoke. She broke free from her mother's hand. But before she could reach him, a burning structure collapsed between them. Her father disappeared behind the flames. And the valley burned. Chapter 4, The Last Fire. The survivors escaped into the mountains. For 3 days, they hid. They had almost no food. No animals. No shelter. And no leader. On the 4th night, the elders gathered around a tiny fire. Everyone was waiting for someone to speak. Nobody did. Then Amara stood. She was covered in dirt. Her clothes were burned. Her hands were shaking. But she held her father's spear. My father died protecting this valley. An elder looked at her. The valley is gone. Amara shook her head. No. She pointed toward the mountains. We are still here. Nobody spoke. She continued. They took our homes. Her voice cracked. They took our animals. Tears rolled down her face. They took my father. She lifted the spear. But they did not take us. That night, something changed. The frightened girl who had watched her father die began to disappear. And something stronger took her place. Chapter 5, The Secret. Years passed. Amara learned to hunt. She learned to fight. She learned the paths through the mountains. But most importantly, she learned to listen. One evening, an old woman named Nalia called Amara into her shelter. I knew your father, she said. Amara sat down. What do you mean? Nalia opened a small leather pouch. Inside was a piece of cloth. Amara recognized it immediately. It had belonged to her father. He gave me this before the attack. Amara's heart stopped. Why? Nalia looked toward the entrance. Because he knew they would come. She unfolded the cloth. A crude map was drawn on it. Amara stared. What is this? The valley wasn't the only place your father discovered. Nalia pointed to a mark beyond the mountains. There is another valley. Amara looked up. Another. Nalia nodded. And your father believed it was hidden for a reason. Before Amara could ask another question, they heard something outside. Footsteps. Nalia immediately extinguished the fire. Silence. Then a man's voice came from the darkness. We know you're in there. Amara gripped her father's spear. Nalia whispered. They found us. Chapter 6, The Hunt. Amara led the survivors through a narrow mountain passage. Behind them came the enemy. They couldn't fight. Not yet. They had children, old people, wounded families. So they ran. At sunrise, they reached the location marked on the map. But there was nothing. Only rocks, dry earth, and a dead tree. Amara looked around desperately. This is it. Nalia studied the map. Then she noticed something. The river. What about it? It shouldn't be flowing this direction. They followed the river upstream. Behind a wall of rock, they discovered a narrow opening. Amara entered. And stopped. Beyond the passage was another hidden valley. Green. Beautiful. Untouched. A second home. But before they could celebrate, Amara saw something that made her blood run cold. Smoke. Not from their people. From the far side of the valley. Someone was already there. Chapter 7, The Truth. Amara climbed the ridge. Below her stood hundreds of enemy warriors. They had found the valley too. But there was something strange. They weren't preparing to attack. They were building homes, fences, a settlement. Then Amara saw their leader. An old man. He looked familiar. Nalia came up behind her. That is the son of the man who killed your father. Amara's hand tightened around the spear. Why are they here? Nalia whispered. Because they are running from someone too. A horn sounded. Everyone froze. From the northern mountains came an even larger army. The enemy leader looked toward them. For the first time, Amara saw fear in his eyes. The two tribes had been fighting each other, while a greater enemy had been approaching them both. Chapter 8, The Choice. That night, Amara faced a decision. She could attack the people who had killed her father. Or she could unite with them against the approaching army. Her heart wanted revenge. But she remembered her father's final lesson. A leader protects the living. At sunrise, Amara walked alone into the enemy camp. Hundreds of spears pointed toward her. The enemy leader stepped forward. You are Cato's daughter. Amara nodded. I am. You should hate me. I do. The old man lowered his eyes. My father killed yours. Yes. And now you want to kill me. Amara raised her spear, then lowered it. No. The man looked confused. I want our children to live. Silence. Finally, the old leader lowered his weapon. Then we fight together. Chapter 9, The Last Stand. The final battle lasted from sunrise until darkness. Amara stood at the front. Beside her stood the same people who had once destroyed her home. Thousands of warriors collided beneath the mountains. Arrows filled the sky. Shields shattered. Horses thundered through the valley. Amara fought until her hands bled. Then she saw the enemy commander approaching. He raised his weapon. Amara raised her father's spear. They charged. The clash sent both of them to the ground. Amara struggled to breathe. The commander stood, then stopped. Behind Amara stood hundreds of children. Watching. Waiting. He lowered his weapon. The battle was over. Chapter 10, The Last Fire. Years later, Amara returned to the original valley. The ruins were still there. The trees had grown again. The river still flowed. She walked to the place where her father had fallen. She planted his spear into the earth. Children from both tribes played nearby. Two peoples who had once been enemies now shared the valley. An old woman approached Amara. "You won." Amara shook her head. "No." She looked toward the children. "I survived." The woman smiled. "Sometimes that is the greatest victory." Amara looked at the sunset. She remembered the poor herdsman who had once discovered a green valley. She remembered the night he died. She remembered the promise she made beside his grave. Then she smiled through her tears. Because her father had not left behind gold. He had not left behind an army. He had left behind a daughter who refused to disappear. The camera slowly rises above the valley. Children laugh. The river shines beneath the setting sun. The old spear stands against the golden sky. And as the final light disappears, Amara's voice whispers. "They thought they had buried our story with the dead." A pause. They were wrong. The screen fades to black. Then one final sentence appears. "Some histories are not lost. They are waiting to be remembered." Unshackled histories.